and fear. Before I was looking at him like just like a young boy who's very quiet, then suddenly he turned into a man and now speaking the word of God. So he has really, really grown up and praise the Lord. So we will be discussing, we will continue the series of the study of the book of Revelations, Jesus Christ's letter to the seven churches. This time we're going to tell about the churches of Pergamos. So now, Melvin touched a little bit of history with the local location of Pergamos church. I will be discussing about the dispensation of the church, and after that, we'll be discussing also about the practical implications of the compromising church up to this present age. Right? So I wanted to start with a prayer. Thank you, Lord Father, for the privilege, Lord, O God, that you have given us, O Father, to read and receive your message today. Father, I have only one prayer tonight. Lord, we want the Holy Spirit to lead us into understanding, Lord, your wisdom. To understand, Lord, what is the message that you wanted to impart to us, O God. Lord, it's not an accident that today we are all sitting here listening, Lord, and reading the letter that you yourself, Jesus Christ, has sent to the churches. It is not for the church of the old times, but it's also applicable to all of us, our church today, O God. Let us be, Lord, be led into the truth, O Father. I pray, Lord, that whatever demonic foundation, whatever wrong doctrine, whatever wrong teaching, Lord, that has been imparted in each and every individual in this room, O God, give us a clear revelation, O Father. Give us a clear picture of truths, O God, that only from you we can hear and we can receive, O God. Tonight, Lord, I pray that the Holy Spirit will lead me. The Holy Spirit will guide me, O Father, to unleash the truth that is only from you, O God. You are the source of our truth, and you are the only truth in this world, O Father. Thank you, Lord, O God, and may whatever we discuss today, O Father, will bring glory into your name, and will reveal the truths that you wanted us to see and to hear. That everyone who listens, O Father, that every fragment, Lord, of evil foundation that's binding us, O Father, to worship the one true God, O God, will be broken, O Father. There is only one truth that shall reign in our lives, and that is the truth of the death of our Savior, Jesus Christ, who died on the cross for us and for our sins. Today, Lord, O God, may your name be blessed, and may your name be glorified. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Alright, so praise the Lord. So our dear brother Melvin has discussed about the local information about the Church of Pergamos. Can I have the next slide? So I believe that we have a lot of questions when we read it. This letter is a little kind of special, really, really special, because it is first, the Lord Jesus Christ has described this church twice as the Satan's seed. So you must be wondering why. Apart from, we all know that, the height of the paganism during that time, after the year of the Lord, the Anno Domini year, it's the height of the paganism. And at the same time, the growth of the evangelism of Christianity. So let's see about it. Pergamos Church, which means married to power in Greek word, and the dispensation time is from 313 Anno Domini, the year of the Lord, to 538. Sister used earlier said she described about compromising. So, what is the meaning of compromising again? To come into agreement or to settle for less or to accommodate something that is not proper in a specific teaching or rules or standard. Okay? And I have one special verse from Psalm 119, 1 minute. Alright, so the Bible makes it clear that God is not condoning any compromising, especially when it comes to our faith inside the church. Okay? So joyful in Psalm 119 says that joyful are the people of integrity who follow the instructions of the Lord. Joyful are those who obey His laws. and search for him with all their hearts. They do not compromise with evil. They walk in his path. You have charged us to keep your commandments carefully. So he's very detailed. You have charged us to search the truth carefully. Alright? So why does Pergamos then said to be a compromising church? What is in this church that made them, what are the practices of the people in Pergamum that makes, it's said as a compromising church? What are they compromising about? So, I think this has been discussed already, so that's the northernmost part, okay? Pergamos is said to be a compromising church, as the church is said to be married itself to Rome. Okay, if we can still remember, if we can still recall, Jesus Christ, his message in the church of Ephesus, he showed himself onto the letter that he is in the midst of the 7 golden candlesticks. If you remember that there is only one apostle living at that time who received the revelations, the letter from Jesus Christ. So that is Apostle John, who was in Patmos at that time. So Jesus, at the church of Ephesus, he wanted to assure each and every believers that amidst the dying out of the apostles, he's still in the midst of the church. So we don't have anything to worry about. And then in the Smyrna, he showed himself as the one who died and rose again. Right? So we have a future with Jesus. And in this church, he said that I am the one with the sword on the hand. So it seems like Jesus is not so happy about this church. Alright, so Ephesus is the great political city. Smyrna is the great commercial city. And Pergamos is the great religious city. Why? We have mentioned earlier by Brother Melvin that Jesus described it as where the Satan city is. It is not just about the temples and about this. There are 4 major paganism that is inside this church. The very first one, the temple of Zeus is there. I think the kids knows who is Zeus. So Zeus is one of the great god in the Mount Olympus, right? I didn't research much about him because I don't want to put importance on all these details. So he's one of the guys like half god, half man, but he's very powerful. He's actually has the biggest temple in Ephesus, which is considered as one of the 7 wonders at the ancient times. So can you imagine if it's considered like one of the ancient, great temple? So it must be really famous, right? So how many peoples are going in the temple of Zeus to worship him? Number 1. Second, there is another pagan worship, which is the worship of Diana, the mother god, which is also which is also identified in the church of Ephesus, right? Worship of Diana. The second one is the god of healing that Sister Lisa's discussed, Asclepius. So which is still what you call this? The symbol of the pharmacotics, right? Yeah, and the medicine as well. And the last one is the biggest of all, the emperor worship. So if you remember, during this time, Pergamos is already conquered by Rome. So it is under the Roman Empire, and it's mandatory for them to declare that Caesar is Lord. So if it's mandated in the city that you have to worship Caesar, you have to declare that Caesar is a Lord. So aren't you thinking that maybe some of the believers might have compromised their faith just to escape death? Because during the time, I read some studies about it that they are giving certificate for those who will declare that Caesar is Lord. So you will be spared from death. Otherwise, if you will renounce that, no, he's not the Lord because we have our own Lord. So, it's very critical, the life of the believers at that time. And what else? Can I have the second? Alright, and the significant details in the letter, it says that where the Satan throne is, Antipas, my witness, my faithful one. I'll give you the meaning of Antipas later, and where Satan dwells. Who holds the teaching of Balaam, who taught Balak to throw a stumbling block before the children of Israel, to eat things sacrificed to idols and commit sexual immorality, who holds the teaching of Nicolaitans, and I will give you the hidden manna. What is the hidden manna? And what is the white stone? Can I have gifts? And I borrowed Sister Norma and Melvin. I want to present you the 3 enemies of this letter, okay? Where's the other letter?
Call alarms. Alarms outside.
It's okay, I will read it.
So this is Balaam, an Israelite prophet described in the Old Testament, according to Number 22 to 24. A diviner who is importuned by Balak, the king of Moab, to place a curse on the people of Israel, who are camped threateningly on the plains of Moab. Balaam stated that he will utter only what his God Yahweh inspired, but he is willing to accompany the Moabites messengers to Balak. He is met on road by an angel of Yahweh, who is recognized only by Balaam's ass, which refused to continue. Then Balaam's eyes are opened, and the angel permits him to go Balak, but commands him not to curse by the blessed of Israel. In later literature, especially the second letter from Peter chapter 2 verse 15, however, Balaam is held up as an example of one who apostatized for the sake of material gain.
Alright, and I just want to emphasize that Balaam is not a prophet. Okay, he is never identified in the Bible as a prophet. He's actually like a sorcerer. He's like a doctor without credentials and without credibility. Okay, but he has this specific spiritual gifting. He's a witch. Yes, like a sorcerer or something. Okay, so he's not a prophet.
Okay, so this is Baal. Baal was the name of the supreme god worshipped in ancient Canaan and Phoenicia. The word Baal means Lord. The plural is Baalim. In general, Baal was the fertility god who was believed unable to the earth to produce crops and people to produce children. Different regions worship Baal in the different ways, and Baal proved to be highly adaptable god. Baal worship rooted in sensuality and involved ritualistic prostitution in the temples. At times pacifying, Baal required human sacrifice, usually the firstborn of the one making the sacrifice. Jeremiah 19 verse 5. The crisis of Baal appealed to their god in rites of the world abandoned, which include loud and ecstatic cries and self-inflicted injury. First,
So this is Baal. This is how they portray the image of Baal.
So this is King Balak. Hebrew name Balak was a king of Moab described in the book of Numbers in the Hebrew Bible, which is his dealings with the prophet Balaam, are recounted. Balak tried to engage Balaam for the purpose of cursing the migrating Israelite community. Balak initially confirmed with his Midianite allies in order to block Israelite settlement before sending his elder along with the Midianite elders. To seek Balaam's curse on them, the Midianites appear to have been co-located with the Moabites. They were an alliance of people at this time, and they therefore had a common interest in preventing Israelite settlement of the area. After this mission with Balaam to curse Israelite failed, Balak decided to ally with the Midianites to gather their women in order to lead Israelites' men astray in adultery.
Alright, so that's King Balak. So when he was threatened that he will be conquered by the Israelites, he immediately seek the counsel of Balaam. Because he knows that whatever Balaam will say, it could happen. Because he can prophesy. He has this gifting of prophecy. But not against the people of Israel, as God didn't allow it. So, yeah, he's the king of Moab. And alright, a little bit of information about the city of Pergamos. Melvin said earlier that they are the one who makes the best parchment, or like this paper, the papyrus. Okay, so this actually is one of the biggest library at that time. So if you can imagine, if they have the biggest library at the time, the people in Pergamos, they're highly intelligent people. They're very learned people. Because these books that they are doing and the perfection of the paper that they are doing, it needs a skills, and and the book that they're doing, it's not printed, it's handwriting. So yeah, and also Pergamos is the headquarters of the emperor worship, and said that it is where Zeus was born. Alright, so this is just a replica of the temple of Zeus. So it is that big. But this is just the replica. I think we still have it at the present time. It was moved in Berlin. Is that Berlin? Yes. So don't go to Berlin, okay? To see the Satan street. Alright, so this Zeus again is the god of Mount Olympus. It's not so important. Let's focus on the Lord. So he's a sky god, controls lighting and everything. Okay, so this is the pagan Rome, where the people worship the pagan gods, and at the same time the Emperor Caesar. Okay? Alright. In the letter to Pergamos said that it's where the Satan throne is. Pergamos is said to be obsessed with snakes. If you can remember, snakes is actually a symbol of evil. Right? In the Garden of Eden, the devil is symbolized by the snake. So if you will come to think of it, why it says that, why Jesus Christ himself said that I know where you dwell, I know where you live, where Satan dwelleth. So, because Satan is not like God, he cannot be present at all places at one time. He could be at one place at a time. He's not so powerful like God. So during that time, he was at the Garden of Eden, so we could say at this time, he was in Pergamos. Alright, so sculpture so-called the god of healing is still now a symbol of the pharmacotics. So this is where they sacrifice life and just to be healed, and people come to him to be healed. So people worship and sacrifice to him to be healed. Okay, next. Alright, so after I want to touch a little bit the history of because it's very, very important, although it's not part of the letter, but the dispensation, how the church of believers in Pergamos became compromised. Since Satan cannot take out the church from the people, cannot take out the church from the world, so he drove the world into the church. So it's very strategic how he did it. So let's see and discover it. So Constantine, who among you has watched the movie Constantine? Have you? Yeah. It's a very famous movie, and I encourage you to watch it. So, because the history is very, very important for us. It gives you the clarity of what we have now at the present. So Constantine is the very first Roman emperor who turned into Christianity after his vision on the cross in the sky. So Constantine is a Roman emperor. So while he was traveling, he said that he saw the image of the cross in the sky under the Novinium Bridge. He said that God himself spoke to him and said to him that use this cross as a symbol in every battle where you will go, and you shall win the battle. He did it, and he prospered. And from then on, he believed. He believed in God. So he converted into Christianity during his reign. So before the believers, the Christians, they are persecuted because there's a lot of pagan worship at that, the four major pagan worships, and then they're like a small community, a small church, and they're not so privileged. They're actually persecuted because they are supposed to worship other idols and of course declare Caesar as their Lord. But then when Constantine, since the word of the emperor is a law at that time, so they followed him. The Christians who were persecuted before are now protected under the reign of Constantine. So Christians, a lot of people converted into Christianity just to gain access and favor into the emperor. So even actually all the pagan worship at the time, it was banned. They're not supposed to worship anymore any pagan gods. So let's see how it was discontinued. Let's see how it progressed. So Christianity has become polluted with the world. This starts in 96 AD. Mary, the mother of Jesus, when Mary got pregnant by the Holy Spirit, and then he had Jesus. So he was in Ephesus at the time. She was living in Ephesus at the time. So when the heathen worship of a pagan has been banned, they found comfort with Mary as the mother of Jesus. So this is the image of Mary. I think a lot of Catholics will be able to relate to this image. When I was little, we have this image even on my mother's wallet. They said that it brings good luck. Okay? And people started to worship Mary. Alright? So, okay. I just want to emphasize this. This is Isis. It's an Egyptian mother, universal mother. And the child that he's carrying is the Olympus god Horus, which is replicated on the other side as Mary, the mother of Jesus, and Jesus, the Son of God. So every time that you will see this image, this is not Mary, the mother of Jesus, and this is not Jesus, the Son of God. Alright? That is the history. So since they were banned, they're not supposed anymore to worship any god. Isis is a pagan god. Okay? And they have seen that Mary is the mother of Jesus. Let's replicate him. Because it will be allowed by the emperor. Okay? Alright. So, Christianity has become in at that time. Everyone converted. Even at the war, they used this cross sign with a bandwagon and everything to conquer the fight and to show that they are, powerful and they are protected by the Roman Empire. Okay, so it declares power. It declares authority. So now, there was a competition of finding relics and saintly corpses. So can you imagine? They turned into Christianity, supposed to be believing in Jesus Christ. But what happened? Satan twisted it. He twisted it in saying that all these people are important because they are the follower of Jesus. So we have Saint Bernard, Saint Jerome, Saint Jude, and Saint Peter. So they said that it is where the saints growth. They have grown in number, and you will be rewarded if you will be finding some relics or even the coins or even some evidences about all these martyrs and saints. So basically, all the idols has been replaced by saints. All right. So this is how things has become paganized. This is how Christianity has become paganized. Okay, in 300 AD, prayers were made for the dead. And then worship of saints and angels were introduced. Mass was instituted at 393 AD, and the worship of Mary. Alright? So during that time, I feel like, Mary wouldn't want herself to become a god. Mary exactly knows how she stands in front of God. She's a humble servant of God. She wouldn't want to be worshipped. And the different dresses for priests and the purgatory doctrine was introduced. So the political system of the Roman Empire has penetrated inside the church. So the simplicity of the gospel has been polluted now with all these pagan thinkings, pagan ideas. Next. Alright, so people of Rome, whom was looking at Caesar before as their god and leader, now they have turned into the bishops and pope. You know why the pope they are wearing like a fabulous, glamorous clothes? Because pope was the bishops at the time of the church was highly regarded by the Roman Empire. The emperor of the Roman gifted him with a luxurious dress, clothing. So from then on, they made it as a practice that whosoever is serving the church will be wearing the same. So in papal Rome, all the people worship the Pope. Okay? And by the way, they made also Mary as their intercessors. In the Catholic Church, we actually pray. We have a prayer for Mary. We pray for the saints like this to intercede for us. Church, you have to remember that we have only one high priest, who is in heaven, and that's Jesus.
Amen.
We do not need any other high priests, that do not settle for less because Jesus Christ has paid a very high price on that.
Amen.
So that is something that, all these fragments of paganism needs to be broken.
Amen.
If before you are highly regarding Mary is a humble servant of God. She's not God.
Yes.
And she will never be God. Mary herself knows who she is.
Amen.
Alright? So even the apostles, they are not God. Can you imagine that I'm not so sure. I think it's Peter who was supposed to be crucified like Jesus Christ, right? He said, no, I don't deserve to be crucified, to be put to death, the same as my master. So put me upside down. So that's how they are. They are not God, and they wouldn't want to be worshipped. They want to bring us Jesus Christ and not themselves.
Amen. Amen.
Right?
Amen.
So the teaching of Balaam, Brother Gabby will be discussing that. The pagan doctrines of seducing the church. So these are all the pollutions that's coming in the church. We'll discuss the practical implications of that. And the doctrine of Nicolaitans. So the Bishop of Rome is the head of all churches by the year of 533 AD. People has been highly corrupted by the glitter of the world. The gospel has been turned and violated. Actually, it has been completely twisted. The church of Pergamos has been given the warning of being compromised. Means being married to power. Just being able to go and access into the emperor, you will compromise your faith. And I think at the time they were confused as well, because they may have felt like, okay, this Jesus Christ have sacrificed for us, and now the emperor himself is regarding Jesus Christ also, as God. So they might have thought that it's a gifting from God that now we are saved and persecuted. But we should always remember that the simplicity of the gospel. We are not supposed to be in a high places like this. Jesus Christ told us that whosoever will follow me should bear the cross with me.
Amen. Amen.
Right? And next. Alright. This is very important. This is my last slide. 2 Corinthians 6:14. Do not be yoked together with unbelievers. For what do righteousness and wickedness have in common? Or what fellowship can light have with darkness? I have a very simple translation of this because I really want us to understand this. This is a warning about those who do not believe. You are not the same as those who do not believe or who do not really believe. You do not join yourselves to them. Good and bad do not belong together. How can Christ and Belial, the devil, have any agreement? What can a believer have together with a non-believer? The temple of God cannot have any agreement with idols. It's in the Bible. And we are the temple of the living God. And God said, I will live with them and walk with them, and I will be their God, and they will be my people. You know, at this present age, we live by faith. You know, it's not about what we see. We don't need to hold on into any images, or we don't need to forcefully put ourselves into, you know, situation that I wanted to see God, I wanted to see the face of God. Just believe that God, that's faith, you know. Believing even if you don't see it. If you believe in Jesus, then you believe in God. If you believe in God, then you believe in Jesus. We don't need to, you know, to cling into any other images that just to satisfy your faith. We don't need to pray, you know, to pray the rosary. God did not give us, Jesus Christ himself fulfilled all the laws. So we are no more bounded by the laws because Jesus Christ himself died, you know, to wash away all this, you know. We cannot fulfill it by ourselves, so he did it for us. He's our greatest lamb. Right? So we don't need to, you know, pray for whosoever saints like this. When I was reading this, I was really, you know, highly convicted by the Holy Spirit. I said that all this time that, you know, sometimes we still have, it's not just about the idols. We have a lot of compromising that we are doing in our lives. Sometimes, not just the, you know, not just the idols that we are looking into. Sometimes even our family can be an idol. Anything that takes your most interests is an idolatry. If you put your family at the highest regard than God, then you are idolizing, right? If you know you are so much focused on your work and you don't have time to, you know, you don't have time for the Lord, that's a form of idolatry as well. It does not necessarily mean that all these paganisms and everything. There's a lot, anything that takes our time from the Lord. Right? So have a blessed night, everyone.